Hi there, Altenew friends. Welcome back to another perfect pairing. This card making tutorial features the classical sentiments press plates from Altenew. Let's use this BetterPress compatible plate set to make 3 modern and contemporary tactile cards. Here is the Classical Sentiments press plate, new for November 2023. This set of sentiment press plates works perfectly with the BetterPress Letterpress system from Spellbinders. You'll need the system to make the cards featured in this crafting tutorial. This plate set coordinates with other crafty items in the November 2023 release, such as the Timeless Sentiments die set, Classic Greetings stamp set, and Classic Greetings die set. Hopefully you've had a chance to play around with your BetterPress system, so you're familiar with setting up the platen and chase. I prefer to start with the A2 cotton card panel. I'm using the cardstock in porcelain throughout this tutorial. I'll align this panel to the A2 registration marks on the magnetic chase. Then with the Altenew glue tape, I'll apply short strips to the top and bottom of the cotton card panel. I'll gently remove some of the tack by touching the adhesive a few times. Then I'll press the platen to the adhesive exposed chase. Notice that the BetterPress logo on the platen is legible and facing me. Now that I have my cotton card panel temporarily adhered to the platen, I can start making my cards. In my setup, I have all 3 of the shims underneath the magnetic plate on the chase. For my first demonstration of blind letterpress, I'm going to start with the Classical Sentiments press plate. I'll pick this From Our Hearts sentiment and align it to the center registration marks on the magnetic chase. Before I add ink to the plate, I'll use this must-have gel pen in gold to trace the outline of the press plate. Then with the black BetterPress ink, I'll cover the exposed side of the press plate. Finally, I'll add my cardstock and platen to the magnetic chase. Notice again I have the BetterPress logo facing me on the bottom of my platen. Once I'm happy with the letterpress impression, I can start adding my blind letterpress images. I will not remove the cotton card panel until I'm finished with this card front. The gold outline I made earlier will help me align and plan the placement of all the images I want to use on this card front. This will keep my images from running into each other. I'm using the Wild Daisies press plates for this first card to add stunning large blooms to my card. Once I've planned the placement of this floral stem, I'll also trace around the plate with the gold pen. This is not my final card, and I'll show you my first mistake in a moment. In order to perform a blind letterpress, you won't add any ink to the plate. This is why the plate adds that tactile texture to the cotton card panel. Your card recipient can't help but run their fingers across your card. I have used ink on this plate before this tutorial, and honestly I'm not so good about cleaning my press plates, so some of the residual ink transferred to my panel. After cleaning off my plate with soap and water and gently scrubbing the surface with a microfiber cloth, I was able to get a clean impression on my test panel. After aligning a new cotton card panel to the platen, I arranged the Wild Daisy press plate in a different orientation. The gel pen outline of the Classical Sentiment press plate helps guide where I want to place the Wild Daisy image. This way I won't block the sentiment with the large blooms. I traced a segment of the exposed plate onto the magnetic chase before picking the next orientation of the Wild Daisy press plate. Again, I'm not applying ink to the press plate for the blind letterpress technique. I'm angling the plate so that you can see the outline impression of the Wild Daisy images. That's the magic of blind letterpress for modern cards. Now all I have to do is add this panel to a folded note card base, and that finishes this simple and contemporary blind letterpress card design. For the next card, I'm using the Classical Sentiments press plates in a different way. Off camera, and actually the day before filming, I sprayed 2 porcelain A2 card panels in jet black ink spray so that I got this slate colored panel. I love extending the use of my BetterPress press plates by hot foiling. I'm using the Spellbinder's Hot Glimmer system and some metallic bronze foil to letterpress and foil onto one of the panels of jet black colored card panel. I'll share the end result of the foiling at the end of this card making process, but for now I'm adding the other jet black colored cotton card panel to the platen, just as the previous card. Then with the Hummingbird Nectar press plate, I'll use this larger Lily of the Nile image to add blooms all around the black background. I'm using the gel pen again to make sure that my images don't run into each other by tracing the outlines of the press plates. These trace lines become registration marks so that I can avoid clusters of images running into each other on my card. As long as I maintain the same position of my platen when I blind letterpress my plates, I can be sure that I'm getting perfectly positioned images on my panel. In total, I was able to squeeze 5 partial images of the Lily of the Nile. One thing I forgot to mention before is I have the larger 8.5-inch Spellbinder's Platinum platform, so I'm able to accommodate for large overhang on some of these impressions. If you have the Spellbinder 6, you may need to be more aware of how far the plate hangs off the sides of the BetterPress chase. But once I have added the blind letterpressed panel to a folded note card base, I foam mounted the bronze foiled Classical Sentiment to the center of the arrangement. I encourage you to play around with different colors of cotton cardstock. Right now there are only 3 available colors, but you can extend your supply by coloring them yourself with ink sprays, watercolor, or fresh dye ink. For this last card, I went for a much different look. There is so much to experience on these 2 panels. I sprayed 2 porcelain A2 cotton card panels with Puffy Heart iridescent ink spray. Spraying both sides of the panel helps keep the panel flat when drying, and again, I did this on the previous day of filming. I picked one side of the panel to be my main blind letterpressed panel, and used the other panel to make my Classical Sentiment press plate sentiment banner. Just like the previous cards, I'm using a floral press plate to fill my card front. This time I have the Billowing Peonies press plate to fill the Puffy Hearts panel. Just like the previous card, I'm using the gel pen to trace the outline of the blind letterpressed image before moving the plate to another segment of the card. I was able to fit 5 of these Billowing Peony images on this cotton card panel. And once I added the Puffy Hearts panel to a folded note card base, I added the silver foiled sentiment to the center of the card. There's the blind letterpress element, foiled sentiment, and iridescence to this panel. And you don't need any ink to complete this card or the previous Hummingbird Nectar press plate card. So give blind letterpress a try for these interesting tactile cards. The crafting materials I've used on these cards are in the description box, as well as more crafty inspiration on using the Classical Sentiments press plates. My series encourages you to shop your existing Altenew stash and rekindle their love with newer releases. Perfect Pairings with Jaycee airs on the Altenew channel every 2nd and 4th Sunday of the month. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Perfect Pairing episode with me, and I'll see you in the next one.
Hello there, crafty friend, Lydia here. Just popping in to say that you can get your daily dose of crafting tips, techniques, and tutorials just like this by subscribing to the Altenew YouTube channel. All you need to do is click on that little bell up there and you will never miss a video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.